Hi, so here we go, another comfy video. As the weather here is so horrible, I can't go out and paint, so I'm making comfy videos to pass the time. Most of my comfy videos come out of hitting a problem with something and then trying to find some sneaky way around it. I have problems with InPainting basically because it doesn't really work unless you have an InPainting model, and most of the models I use don't have an InPainting version of it. And although you can merge models to make an InPainting version, it seems a rather long way around to go about it. And even the InPainting models, I don't think, do a great job. I want sort of a bit more control and precision. So I've made my own InPainting version and its purpose is to improve and adjust an existing image. So we're not generating an image, we're improving or unimproving, maybe in this case, an existing image. So I'll just go through what happens and then I'll do one from scratch to show the whole process. So this is a first skim through. So this is our input image, which is I wondered what a human being would look like if it was made by robots. So he's made of skin and flesh, but he's sort of roboty as well. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is to refine his face and to change what he's made of, but not all of him. So if you want to quote for a robot, say he's made of this fleshy plastic stuff, but you wanted this bit steel, that would be quite a difficult prompt. So that's what we'll do, and we'll refine the face as well. So we'll do two stages. So the first stage, so that's our input image, and that's piped all the way across. So we'll use that elsewhere. So the first part is to crop out the bit we want to change. So here you go, see? We have cropped out the bit we want to change. And then, once we've cropped the bit out, tinted it with the colour tint. So I've taken away the flesh tint and I've made him sort of more bluey grey. And then that image is used for an image to image here. I'm using a denoise of 65, which is rather high. The reason for adding the noise here, so I've blended noise over the top. Here's the noise image, which is blended over the top, 32% noise. Going close, you can see the noise. That makes this image easier to change at lower denoises. So I can drop this denoise down to 60 and it'll still keep the same composition. If you go too high, it starts moving things around too much. And this is the result, which is a bit too much. That's why I lowered that to 60. So that's our image, and we want to drop that new chest and all these metal bits. We want to drop them into our original image. So we want to drop them into that perfectly. Okay, so on this point here, we cropped, so we moved it 500 pixels across. We increased its size from 1024 to 1536. So in the next stage, we want to mask the areas that we want to fill in. So what we do, we take, we're going to write back here, the section we took out of that without the tint, and we load it as an image in here. You can use a segmenter and so on from this image, but I mostly don't want to do things that can be segmented. So, and I have a very good segmenter called my brain, which is really good at knowing which bit's which. So I use that, and I use the mask editor. So I mask out here, open it in mask editor. So I've painted out all the bits except the bits I want to change, and that makes this mask here. So that's just showing the bits that are going to change. It's the eyes and the body, and the shoulders are going to stay the same, etc. And then because I prefer masking that way, I invert that mask, and they both need to be resized in order to go back into the image. So I need to take it back to 1024, which I do here. I invert the mask so that that's the bit that gets, and then I blur the mask. This is 4 pixel blur, and we'll zoom in here. So here's the mask. So only these bits will get dropped in. And then they go into a simple composite. So this image is taken across here. This is our new image taken across here. Resized again to the same 1024, 1024. And also nudged across the same distance, you see. 1557. which is the same as it was nudged here, 557, on your image crop, original image crop. This image crop needs to have the same number in. So you see 557 turns up here. And so these numbers in the two image composite masks, they need to be the same. Otherwise, things won't line up. And you have to resize the mask separately from the image. So that results, with a bit of a colour correct here, in this. So we've got the eyes. All of this piece is been replaced. Bit of careless masking down there, but don't worry about that. I was in a bit of a hurry. So that's perfectly dropped in. So I next want to do the same thing again, but this time with just the head. So I crop out of this. This is just this module again, same module. And you can do this as many times or as many bits as you want, really. So here we go. We're cropping the head out. This time we're doubling the size. So we're going up to 1024 from 512. So this is a 512 crop, which gives us our head there. I'm doing a colour tint again. And then we're image blending right there back here with this noise over the top. And then we feed it into a second sampler, which has its own prompt. You see the prompt here is different, and the noise seed needs to be different as well. So this is very simple, just image to image on this, and that gives us this result. Still a bit of noise in the background, but we don't need to worry about that because the figure itself is fine. None of this will be seen. And then we do the same thing again. We take the original head. This image will appear in your input folder in Comfy. So you load that from the input folder, and once again you open it in Mask Editor. There you go. So we can change the eyes over. I just made one eye a different colour for fun. So that makes this mask here. The eye will be over there if I run it. The advantage of separating it into modules is that you can turn all the other modules off by putting them to never, and you can just fine-tune the mask. And then that gets composited together in exactly the same way as before. This image is piped across here, and then the new face is put on via the mask. So the new face is coming in here with the resize, and it goes back up in size. So it goes down in size, I beg your pardon. So that goes 0.5. And that number, which we will have another number for cropping down here, which is our crop 767. This crop, that number must reappear in the blend. So 767, that's here again. So if you don't get those numbers the same, it won't line up. So there it is. And as you see, it's a pretty perfect drawing. Except for the bit I missed down there. We might mention that. So we can have our robot man made from any different materials of any colour we want. It'll all fit together perfectly. I'll just pull back and you see how it started off and how neatly it's been changed. And it's also, in the process, if you look at that, it's also been refined as well. So next we'll run one through from start to finish, and you'll see possibly more clearly how it works. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll get rid of the very pleasant gentleman here, which is new file to upload. Do something a little bit more interesting, salubrious. Okay, so we have a young lady here, and we need, first of all, we want to change her dress. I think we'll change her dress. So, and we need to put a style Laura in here, because so that she's on theme. So we'll move this down here. We'll drop a Laura in. So here we have the Laura in, and it's J.C. Leyendecker who paints very much in this style. So the next thing to do is to turn off everything, because we just want to get this part done first. So we go right over here, turn everything off. Nodes to never, never. So now we want to blow her up and crop her. So the image is going up to 1536, and then we'll probably crop a 1024. We'll see about that. And we need to return the number to 0 there. And there she is, cropped in. But as we started off at 1024, we need to crop in smaller than that. So we'll try 768. You want to keep it square, and you don't have to, but it's a good idea to. Okay, now let's see if that. So we're not going anywhere on the X, but we want to come down the image a bit on the Y. So very rarely, nearly there now. It will be 256, I think. That looks absolutely perfect. So we haven't quite got all of our dress in. So we're going to have to go a little tiny bit bigger. So I think if we add 16 or 32, we'll add 32 to it. We'll take it up to 800. Oh, 8,000, that would be bad. Right, that's just looks perfect to me. That looks exactly right. Okay, so this image here, we want to put into this mask. This is where we're going to make the mask. So this image, because it's been previewed, will be in our temporary folder. There she is in our temporary folder. And then we mask out all of the dress in Mask Editor. Okay, that's near enough really. So that's our mask. And we don't need to invert anymore because I've masked the dress out. So we'll get rid of the invert, run that again, and there we are. So now we need to do our prompt. I don't think Steel Armoured Robot will do it anymore. So we'll say beautiful woman. That's the prompt for the Laura. Now in this we don't have her face, so we won't mention her face. We'll say richly patterned red and gold gown. We don't care what happens to the bits of the gown that are masked out. So, and it's an illustration. So we want photograph in the negative, and then we can make that to always. And then we need to look at the numbers here. So we have gone 256 on the Y, and we've gone 800 by 800. So here she is back. After a slight bit of messing around, because I got my sums wrong. I had this at 256, and of course 800 from 1024 is 224. So I got my sums wrong, and paid the price. That's so often the way. So with the correct sums in, 224 in there. This is our new dress. As you see, it's had its way with the background. And that's the result, which I think is pretty good. I can adjust this, so if you see we haven't got a great join on that cuff or on that cuff, I can do that immediately just by adjusting the mask here, and I don't have to regenerate. So if you're doing it image to image, standard image to image, each time you change the mask, you've got to redo this. But I don't have to do that with this, which I think is rather good. So if I take this out of the mask here, that'll correct that cuff, which I shall just do now. So we can open this in Mask Editor, and I want to remove a little bit here to reveal a bit of the old cuff. And I could also tidy that one up a bit. That's better. And we can save that to the node. And then instead of regenerating, all I have to do is just click prompt, and the change is instantaneous. The cuff is corrected. Both cuffs are corrected. And I didn't have to make another generation or anything. You see, we've got a little problem there as well. But that, again, would be one visit to Mask Editor to clip that off. So it's great because you can do editing afterwards, you know. So in here, so you've got a little glitch there. I can come in and I can edit that away without any problem at all, without regenerating. So it saves a lot of time. Okay, so the next, we're going to change her hairdo. So we can run this up, and now we need to reset all these numbers to 0. I find it always easiest to reset to 0, and we're going to have an image crop of, I think, we'll try 512 to start. And the position of the crop is always top left. It's always from here. So my 512 will go there, and then I move it around. So I'm going to do hair. So I probably don't have to move it down at all. I just have to move it across the right a little bit. So there it is. So we don't go down at all. We just go across a little bit to the right. Probably only 60 pixels or so. And that's quite enough, really. So we're only doing her hair. So now my next move is I have to load this image into here. So it's the same process again. If I go to temp, the last image will be the one. So now I can do the mask and check it works. So we open this in Mask Editor and we mask out her hair. Okay, that saves that to the node, and as before, we can alter this mask afterwards. We're not going to have to regenerate. Now, there's a few things to be done here. Numbers again. Try not to get them wrong this time. So I don't need to invert the mask. The invert mask, because I masked the hair out rather than the background this time. For some things it's easier to mask the other way around. So on this one, now mask is done. So we are going up by 2. We're doubling the size. So we're going up to 1024. Our movement is only 61 on the X. So these all need to be transferred here. So doubling the size, here we're halving in size, that's fine. And for the here we are as well, we're halving in size, that's fine. And the movement is not X, it's, go back and get the number, it's 61 pixels on the X. So that's all fine. Now we have to redo our prompt, so we need to transfer our prompt. Well, I don't think we need to really. So what I'm going to try and get away with is just prompting for Leyendecker rather than, he's a very strong artist, so I can probably just prompt. So we'll go, a beautiful woman, really interested in her hair. We go blonde hair, and we go J.C. Leyendecker, and we go illustration. So we'll take photograph out of here, and that should do it, really. I think that'll be fine. And we got a colour tint here, which probably shouldn't be blue this time. Give it a chance. We go yellow. 4. No, let's go yellow. 6. Let's see what happens. So we're all fine. We've got our noised image. I have to do a check. We've got our noised image. We've done our mask. We've done our prompt. We've not got a terribly high denoise. 0.56. It could probably be less than that, but we'll try it at that and see what happens. Okay, so we'll prompt that. Okay, so that is back, and you see she's got very blonde hair. The mask has worked well, and so has the rest of it. I got my numbers, sums right this time. So there she is. She's become very blonde. We'll load the original file. So there you go. We've changed her hair colour. We could try a silly colour, hair colour, just for fun. We'll go green. We'll try and give her green hair, and then we'll move on to something else. So to give her green hair, nothing has to be changed very much, except we need to change this to green. We need to make it stronger. She's going to have very green hair, and we need to change her hair to green, and we'll see what that does. There we go. The lady with green hair. We could adjust we've got a little tiny red fringe, but we can actually adjust that after the event by just altering the mask a little bit. But anyway, she has pretty green hair. And you can do something that you can't do any other way, is that if I alter this mask, I can give her red and green hair. And that will happen instantly. There we go. Red and green hair. I could, of course, add a touch of green to anywhere I wanted, really. So if we reinstate the green hair, we want to slightly enlarge the mask here to get rid of the slightly red fringe. But this is all, any of these changes just happen instantly because, and we could give her a green jewel instead, maybe. And any of these changes all happen straight away. So there. Right, now there's one more thing to show, which is another way of using it, and I'll run through that quickly next. Okay, so as a last quick section, Well, this is some to do a different sort of thing. This is we want to replace this car with one going the other way and put a city in over here. So this is to show how a similar workflow, a slight variation on it, can do this. So this is the existing car, and we want to make it like this. So I've cut in very crudely, though it fits quite well, a car going the other way, just from a photo. And I'm going to use this as the guide image to make a section to drop into this for the changes, so that the car's going in towards the destination. The workflow is pretty much the same. There's just a couple of variations. So if we zoom in, here's our image loaded in. This is all the same as previous. We crop a bit of it out, we enlarge it, we send it into the sampler, and there's a Laura in here that does retrofuturism and an appropriate prompt, and that gives us this with a bit of extra traffic added, of course. So that's exactly the same. Where things are slightly different, and this is the same here, we've cut the car out and we've made a mask around our car. Where we're slightly different is to put a city in the distance here, because there's no city there and we've got to give it more of a clue. If we have a high enough denoise to put a city there, it's going to change everything in the bit, so it won't fit in anymore. It'll be so large. And we also need to, so what we'd have to do is have a guide to make our city, and we do that very simply here. This part is exactly the same. We've cropped out of this image, we've cropped this little bit where we want our city. The only difference is that we're putting a composite mask in to put a bit of noise, coloured noise, toned noise in the area and roughly in the shapes we want our city to be. And that's the only difference, really. So the colour correct here is altering the colour of the noise. You can see the brightness are all changed, and then that goes straight into here, and it goes through a mask, which is drawn here, and the mask is drawn straight on to the cropped bit of image. So we know exactly where our city is going to be, and the image is not used from that. Only the mask is used. So that it would be very hard to draw a mask on here because you haven't got any reference. So this shows what we're drawing the mask on, and then it's comped together. You can put a colour tint. I didn't use the colour tint, and then it's blended in the same way that we put the noise over. So the noise goes over the top again, and we end up with this image here to put into the sampler. And this image has a better chance at lower denoises of making a city. So that goes in here at a denoise of 55. Could have had lower, I expect, but denoise of 55 was fine. So here we are. It's a city in the distance, and it looks pretty good. It's all the right shapes and everything. So I then take this image and I load it from the temporary file into here, and then I draw a mask over our buildings. Now I don't need, because I'm masking the buildings out, I don't need to invert the mask. So I blur the mask to soften the edges, which results in this mask. And then it proceeds exactly the same from there on. There's our city dropped in, and there's where we've come from. Okay, I hope that was all interesting and informative. I think this method is very adaptable, really. If you think of variations, you can do a lot of different things. You know, more than just chase faces or hairstyles or whatever. It gives the potential of just replacing bits of trees or just adjusting compositions and so forth without too much difficulty. And one of the great things is you can adjust these masks afterwards to fine-tune how it's dropped in, and that only takes seconds. So you got plenty of opportunity to fine-tune your mask to make sure. And this mask was fine-tuned. Go back here, because the wheels of our generated car were smaller. I trimmed away the mask here. so that it's got the bottoms of the tyres of the original car rather than the generated one. And I don't think any other way you could do that, really. Well, you could, but it would be a great deal harder. Okay, that's the lot for this one. Thank you very much.